Hi everyone, it's Steph here if you don't already know, and on this channel I just talk about all things careers and all things lifestyle. And in today's video I'm going to be interviewing the wonderful, the one and only Tashan Dwyer. Now check out his Instagram here, check out his YouTube here. I had to get that out of the way first because honestly this guy's content is amazing. I've been following him for a minute and I'm super excited that he has taken the time out to come and do this interview for you guys today. What are we going to be talking about? Well, it's Black History Month, and I don't really like to support Black History Month in a tokenistic kind of way, but in the spirit of, I guess, demonstrating that, do you know what, Black people are really doing bits out here, I've decided to interview a couple of my favorite Black people in the legal space. So Tashan Dwyer's interview is today. I really hope you enjoy it. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back again with more. So before we get started, do you just want to introduce yourself? Because I've obviously never had you on my channel before, so let the people know who you are.
Shout out to you guys. My name's Tashan. I'm a 4-seat trainee solicitor at a management law firm. My first seat was in banking and finance. My next 2 seats were in corporate. One was corporate support, more data, IP, IT, telecoms. My first seat was central M&A, a bit of energy and some startup work, and also some ECM work. I get confused, ECM work, ECM. And now I'm in Paris as a comment with my same law firm in a banking finance seat, doing a mix of project finance, leverage finance, real estate finance, and standard corporate finance, and also just living my best life. That's me. Nice to meet you guys.
Okay, so you said a lot, and I feel like just to help the people out, we should wind it back a little bit. So you said you're a 4-seat trainee, which means you're pretty near the end of your training contract, right? But let's wheel it back. What was your journey into the law like? How did you actually get there?
Good question. I definitely didn't fall into it as a very purposeful thing. But prior to studying and really appreciating education in the corporate sector, I always played football. I used to kick a lot of ball. I played non-league for a bit, semi-pro for a bit. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what? It would be a very long process for me making it, and I didn't have the finances to really back myself. So I said, okay, let me go face my books. So finished my A-levels, had a year out. Then I did straight law at Warwick. And the main reason for that was that my comprehension reading and writing was always my strongest skills. And my interest in the law was more the social side, like human rights, activism, civil rights, so that sort of vibe. But of course, you get older, you realize you need money and you appreciate finance and economics and all these things. So sort of coincided. So from the end of first year, the led open days, back schemes in my second year, secured my training contract in my third year, graduated with first class, then had a year out, did some paralegaling, didn't travel a bit, went on holiday once, and then landed at my law firm. That was my sort of approach. So football, worked it out, economy, economics, money, understanding my skill sets, bang. That's how I got there. That was my sort of approach and journey into it.
Right. Okay, cool. And then another good thing that you mentioned is that you kind of applied a little bit in first year, applied a little bit in second year, got your training contract in third year. What was that like for you? Because I know a lot of people, especially a lot of Black candidates, they sometimes find it hard to just navigate the whole legal journey in the sense that they don't really know how to do applications. They're not too sure about what to research in terms of the firms that they like. So how did you navigate that? And how do you feel like you landed your training contract in your third year before you even graduated?
I think I'm very privileged. I went to a good Russell Group uni. So some of the structural barriers I face aren't the same as people who didn't go to the same uni as me, right, or weren't able to code switch the same way I'm able to code switch. So let me just caveat that first. I hate when people are like, oh yeah, just did this. Bro, I had some privilege. So to begin, there's a lot of internal looking at myself and understanding the skill sets that I have and what I need to brush up upon. The biggest one was commercial awareness. There's loads of podcasts and videos on this. So you guys know about commercial awareness and having to enhance that. Just being really honest with myself and understanding that my knowledge wasn't good enough. The way I articulated certain points, my opinions, my business instinct wasn't good enough. So just being honest with myself from that perspective. Then there was the next phase of understanding I am capable, I'm more than capable, and I should be aiming for the best firms. That really came when I started to network with other people who also wanted training contracts, and I realized I had the same, if not better, skill sets from them. So that was me evaluating myself and my environment. I also joined contextual recruitment companies. Mine was rare recruitment, plugs me like hell. Would I've got a training contract without them? Most certainly, but not as quickly. I went on quite a few open days with them, and I was on an articles program where you sort of get groomed and taught and you hone your skill sets, your knowledge. That was like the biggest catalyst. And then other things like my identity and like key cultural identifiers, so things like my hair, like I was going through this process, I thought I should cut my hair and this and that. Like if I cut my hair, would it have been slightly easier? Like probably, to be honest, like probably. But it's such a like a key thing for my identity. I grew up with my mum always doing my hair and sitting in between her legs. And I just like my hair, so like understanding I need to keep these things. And then also assimilating slightly. So like understanding, okay, you should buy the blue suit, not the black suit. You should have the black shoes and not the brown shoes. And you should have like this and that, like understanding and assimilating. So it's like these different layers and just being really tenacious about it. And just building good relationships along the way as well. So like I had a couple of mentors, I had a couple of friends in different sectors like banking, finance, consultancy, and understanding how they patterned it and then trying to do the same thing. So that was my understanding of myself as a black person and just validating myself throughout the whole process.
Right. On the hair topic, now this is an interesting area, I think, especially for aspiring black solicitors, but also like just black people who are already in the industry, right? And I remember when I started my TC, I've done a number of different like recruitment events where obviously, you know, aspiring solicitors ask questions. And I have had the question before, do I have to wear a wig to work? Which I thought was an interesting question, mainly because I wasn't wearing a wig that day. So clearly I don't have to wear a wig to work. But I understand where the question comes from. You often feel like you have to assimilate, like you said, and look a particular way to be able to kind of get into the industry or even work there, even if you are there, right? So you got lots. What was your journey? You said at one point you kind of considered, I guess, cutting them off. Like, what was your thought process? How did you kind of navigate knowing that you look, I guess, different, quote unquote, from your average person applying for a training contract?
It was hard. I think I had like a couple of act schemes where to be honest, I didn't get accepted, but in my heart of hearts, I felt like I was more than capable, and I was like one of the stronger candidates. I wonder if I fitted in better, would I have been accepted? And no, you can't answer that. Well, no one can answer that question. Like, you're literally clutching at straws. My mum and my dad, they're very proud people. Like, they've always encouraged me to be myself. So they never ever suggested it. They never suggested it, never encouraged it. They actually dissuaded me from doing it. People from different cultures and different backgrounds and different like ideologies, politically, whatever, they may have been more willing to be deferential and willing to assimilate more. And even to my friends at times suggested, oh, maybe you should do it. So I discussed it with quite a few people. But in the end, I just feel like I should stay true to myself. But at the same time, my experience as like a cisgender heterosexual guy is very different to I don't know, a non-binary person or a woman with long hair, or do you know, so like I have so many inherent privileges in that decision where it's not the same for everyone else. Ultimately, people are trying to like earn a livelihood, they're trying to fulfill their potential. And unfortunately, they live in an environment where they have so many layers of microaggressions and just aggressions and racism where like they feel like, well, I cannot cut my hair, but if it's going to be 4 years difference in me getting a job, or if there's so much pressure and stress in me getting a job, I really understand. So my decision was very internal, it was very personal to me and my experiences, but I fully understand that if someone doesn't have the same options as me and they have to do certain things to assimilate.
It's important for the listeners to, I guess, hear how you think about that for yourself, because sometimes when you're not sure where to start off, you kind of just want to hear how someone else thought about it, right? So I think that's been really helpful. So thank you. I guess moving away a bit from the personal, and we're looking at the industry now. What does diversity look like to you in the legal industry?
Good question. Of course, there's a whole distinction between like diversity and inclusion and making sure people of different backgrounds are included and felt valued and have opinions. That's more inclusion. Diversity for me is like having that difference in terms of reputation. Like you see people, like if you go on the firm's website and like all their partners are white, you're like, okay, cool. Like you know what time it is. Or like if you speak to a lot of people, ethnic minorities, and you ask them, well, how long are you going to be in a career for? And you usually say like 3 years, 4 years, because it looks kind of long when they look up. So like, so sometimes for me, it's like the representation is really important.
Mm.
I think diversity of thought is also really interesting as well, and that comes with different cultures. So like around Black History Month, I'm pretty sure your firm's talking about things, and other corporate organisations talking about things, and after a while, it gets really samey.
Yeah.
But if you have more diversity of like backgrounds, you get the different opinions, different ways of articulating thoughts and pushing agendas. So for me, it's really different and something refreshing. Like alongside the whole like I see this, I feel represented. Like just something really refreshing. It's completely different. It's like if you look at F1, the growth of Formula One over the past like 4 years and the trajectory of it is like so interesting. It's the fastest growing sport in the world globally. And essentially, they sold, I think it's owned by a private equity company. They got bought by an American company. And they have like all these American guys and their approach to business and sport influencing how the sport's growing. So they have like Netflix shows and growing their YouTube presence. Like the drivers are more personable and the whole brand is enhanced because you can see that diversity in thought and opinion.
Yeah.
So that's one metaphor you can look at from like one sector and bring that to other sectors. So does that answer your question? Just like it's real difference of thought alongside like race and gender and ability or disability or whatever. It's like just that difference and really want to see how refreshing something can be after a while.
Yeah, no, I like that. I feel like the main two things that I got from your answers, obviously the representation, so being able to, I guess, visibly see that there is a difference in the style of people that are there, but then also, like you said, the difference in thought, the way that decisions are made, the kind of conversations that are even being had. But what would your top tips be for any young Black people who are looking to get into the industry today then?
Some tips. Firstly, have like a really clear strategy. Understand the market, understand the opportunities, understand where you stand, what skill sets you have, what you're lacking on, and have a real clear approach. When you're able to engage with people who I don't know are in the sector, who are gatekeepers, that they could be graduate, they could be contextual recruitment, like workers, whatever. When you're able to access gatekeepers or people in the sector, make sure you come like prepared and like. And you use that, you really use that network. Sometimes like people reach out to me and they ask me things like, oh, like why law? I was like, bro, they're the ones you can do. Like maybe ask me like, what's my firm strategy? Or like, what do you think about this? Do you know what I mean? Like really using that network really effectively.
Yeah.
And being personable with that relationship as well. Like I find like me personally, I vibe more on like a personal level, and then we can talk about work and like understand the way you stand in that relationship and use that effectively. Thirdly, understand the sector is like really small, so you may build one relationship on an open day or a VAT scheme or your training contract or somewhere, and you'll bump into that person like 20 more times in the next 3 years. So like understanding how small the sector is and like really working those relationships. 1, 2, 3. Trying to think what else I have. Apply early. Everyone knows to apply early, but actually just apply early.
Yeah.
Apply early. Being honest with yourself, like if you're lacking the skill, like just like work on it, brush it up till it's perfect. Like don't let them say no to you. And also like now talking more Black, like actually Black identity, like validate yourself. Because like I feel like anything you want to get into, regardless of its law, it could be a completely different sector or industry. Like you're going to get a lot of no's, so you have to validate yourself and be true to yourself and like stick to your principles as well. But like you're more than capable, man. Just it's going to take time as well. And sometimes it doesn't happen overnight, unfortunately. Like I was fortunate that mine happened at uni, but sometimes yours may take 2 or 3 years afterwards. But as long as you're constantly learning that journey, you're fine, I would say.
I guess last thing to do then is where can the people find you? If people want to hear more, if they want to reach out to you, if they just want to follow what you're doing because you're doing some pretty cool stuff, where can they find you?
Appreciate it. First of all, YouTube, Tashan and I. I'm pretty sure it'll be like in the title or like description or something. LinkedIn, that's like real formal. That's my name, surname, Tashan Dwyer again. And Instagram is more like laid back lifestyle. Like I post like quite a bit of drip. So if you might appreciate style, come with my Instagram as well. That's it. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And yeah, interact with me. I like interact with you guys as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for making it to the end of this interview. We really, really enjoyed giving you all our tips. So I hope you enjoyed the interview too. If you like the tips that Tashan had, then head over to my Instagram page because I'm going to be sharing his tips there. Make sure that you save those so that you've got a reference to them. And of course, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And head over to Tashan's channel as well and make sure that you subscribe there too, because like I said before, he's got some amazing content. Thank you. Bye.